All right, everybody, welcome back. It is me, Cyber Warrior, and this is CyberWarriorStudios, and we are live for Security Happy Hour once again. And today, I have three awesome people, and we're like across the globe today, right? So we got Rodrigo all the way from Australia, and then we got Chris and Al here stateside. And look, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be a lot of interesting conversations going on. Just kind of understanding these people's backgrounds is gonna be pretty fun. But as always, the point of the show, let everybody be heard, say your piece, and get your name out there. Now, Al has a Twitch stream. I'll let him go into that. Rodrigo's doing his thing. Man, and I talked to Chris a lot today, so I know what he got going on. I'm going to let him say his piece. But for all those watching live, I'm so glad to have you here. So if you have a beer or a drink, a whiskey, a bourbon, a wine, I really don't care what it is. Cheers. Right back at you. So, to get this thing kicked off and kicked off right, normally I go counterclockwise, but today I'm going to go clockwise. We're going to let Chris go last. And Al, give us the rundown, man. Where do you come from and where are you at now? And do you have any goals? What are you trying to move towards here in the next few years?
I'm a red team operator right now. Before that, I was a generalized pen tester, doing all kinds of different assessments, from web apps to internal pen tests to even physical assessments. Before that, I was a software developer, and before that, I was a threat hunter in the U.S. Air Force, and before that, I was a pilot in the Air Force. So that's the summation. And I'm seeing some bewildered faces, so I'll just say I have my degrees in biology. I know that you had assumed that based on what I had previously said, but
clearly.
Exactly. I was pre-med, actually, if you believe it or not. I know it's crazy. That about sums up what I am now. I just started Twitch streaming back in October. I got a brand new Twitch stream, and we've already got we're screaming and memeing in that chat, man. We're growing pretty fast, I gotta say. Like we got some very dedicated cultists who come out to learn the black magics from me. So check out my Twitch stream if you haven't heard of me. It's a good time. We keep the memes spicy.
Definitely, man. And look, you are living proof right now, all right, on this show, of all those people that say, how do I get into cybersecurity? I've got a degree in biology, or I'm coming from this field or that field or whatever field. You're proof that it's possible, that you can do it. And man, you've made two or three transitions now, because you've gone from pre-med and biology to being a pilot to now being a red teamer and a hacker that, I gotta be honest, I've heard so many people talk your name up and say you gotta be on here by yourself, but come on, that's just not how I do things. So, what better way to help others out than to have you on here with Chris, with Rodrigo, and with the audience to answer questions and really help guide people on where they need to go. So, look, if you're not following his Twitch, his handle is at the bottom of the screen. If you can't read it, Alh4z3rd, number 4, so it's leet speak, number 4 for the A, and number 3 for the E. Look him up, and also after this, I will add his Twitch stream in the description down below. So if you watch this after, or if you come back to the video, we'll get that in there. That way it's out there. And Al, I look forward to hearing more from you, especially as a fellow vet. I'm finding more and more vets on this show that I don't even intend to get. Like, I love veterans as a veteran myself, but it's crazy because people are like, oh, yeah, I'm a vet. Oh, really? Okay, cool. But we'll dig into you here in a little bit and answer some questions. Apparently you promised candy to InfoRoot if he joined this stream. Just so you're aware.
No such promise was made. InfoRoot, we are a guest in someone else's chat. Behave yourself.
So
Dude,
Rodrigo,
I
man,
even follow this,
right? Rodrigo,
yeah,
man.
I was in Top Gun.
There you go. Moving on to you, over as my Aussie man, my Aussie on the show. what do you got going on? And I know we've talked off and on in the past, over the past probably, say, 4 or 5 months, give or take. But really, let us know how things are going, what you're trying to get into, and how you feel like we can help get you to where you need to be. And Chris, right now, can tell you that I can help people get to where they need to be. So let us know, what are you looking for?
All right. So I used to work in the internet security field 20 years ago. And back then, it's nothing like the landscape it is now. I mean, I'm hearing you guys throw terms like red team, blue team, pen testing. 20 years ago, it was Trojan horses, remote access Trojans, script kiddies. It's a totally different landscape. I used to work for an internet security company, and we developed anti-Trojan software, mainly a Trojan Defense Suite. And if you remember, in 2000, there was a worm release called the love letter bug, or the love letter virus, or worm as per se. And we developed software to counteract VBS scripting on the Windows operating system, so that if a VBS script was being executed, the software we developed would analyze it to see if it was malicious or not, and would prevent it from executing if it was doing anything malicious. So 20 years ago is a lot different now, and it has been 20 years since I've been in this sort of working environment, and I've decided to go back into it. So I'm doing an associate degree in cybersecurity starting on the 22nd of Feb. Yeah, so university.
Nice. So you're just getting back into it, and I'm really enjoying that, because you do have a background for the field that others don't have. So you say you're getting back into it, but you were already into it initially. So, knowing that and seeing that is actually really cool. Let's be honest, it's something that a lot of people don't get an advantage of. So,
as I said, the industry was a lot different back then. I'm pretty sure it is a lot different.
Yes and no. I mean, if you think about it, it can be harder to get into right now, just because there's so many certifications, so much education, so many different things you can do. But at the end of the day, the concepts have remained the same, right? So you've got your, it's gotten a little deeper, but you've got analysts, engineers, you've got your network security, endpoint security. So there's all these different things. Plus now you have red team, blue team, GRC. But in essence, they all are trying to do the same thing, and that's secure networks, secure ports, secure endpoints. So conceptually it's the same, but details and malware and ways to detect, yes, that's changed quite a bit.
That's changed.
So yeah, definitely, man. I'm glad to have you here, and hopefully with your contacts over there across the ocean and everything else, man, hopefully you spread the word and they can see you, hear you, and we can get your voice heard. So moving on, Chris, man, let us know. What's the deal?
So my name's Chris. I enjoy long walks at the beach. My favorite movie is The Notebook. I only like the middle, though. The beginning and the end, I just can't do it. But I come from a sales background. Listened to the military at 17 years old. Got into the infantry, kind of deployed overseas. Got into a sales life. Did that for 12 and a half years. COVID happened. Girlfriend was a COVID nurse. They were like, hey, man, you can't come to work and risk this. Best friend graduated to cybersecurity. He works for Oracle, and he goes, hey, man, check out some of this CTF stuff. So I started kind of trying to do it, and he's like, hey, you're actually not bad at this. Why don't you use your GI Bill and go to a boot camp? So I attended Evolve Security in Chicago. Went to there and started doing that, and started doing CTFs, did DEF CON, did Meta CTF, did Google CTF, and started kind of going through those, and kind of just fell in love with it, and it just envelops your life. I heard someone say the other day, when you get into cyber or tech, you're kind of stuck there. And I don't know if stuck's the right word. It just kind of becomes a part of you. And there's nothing else you enjoy, because you look at the world in such a different way, such a different focus. It's not like anything else. There's nothing else like cyber, because it's a combination of, it's basically take an infantry guy, take a tech guy, and take someone with a really, really obscure way of looking at things and put them into one guy and say you got to do 40 people's jobs. And I love it. And there's just nothing like it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's weird because I've talked about it a lot, and there's always somebody has a different opinion. I'm not against differences of opinion, but I tell a lot of people that when you get into cybersecurity, it has to become a passion or something that you love to do, and it's not because somebody who isn't passionate about it can't do the job. It's just because you always have to be learning, and if you don't love what you're doing or don't love what you're learning, in my experience, it makes it that much harder to keep up with the changes. So I equate being in this field, and again, somebody can have a difference of opinion. Go ahead, leave it in the comments. We can address it. But I equate being in the cybersecurity industry as that being in different levels of like being in a doctor, because doctors have to constantly learn new techniques. Like if they don't go to conferences, if they don't do these things and learn these new techniques, then they become outdated and they're not able to do their jobs as well as other doctors getting into the field. And I see that in our industry. If you don't keep up with vulnerabilities or attack vectors or malware or the newest flashy lights that CISOs so love to freaking go by, if you don't keep up with all these things and understand how they work, then you fall behind the 8 ball. And here's the kicker to it. When you work for companies and organizations, understand 9 times out of 10 you got to go through red tape and you're already behind the 8 ball because you are trying to do things legally. Attackers don't have to worry about red tape. They don't care about legality. They don't care about whether or not it's going to bring a system down. They're just going to do it. So we as defenders, as red teamers, as pen testers, as GRC, whatever the case may be, we are doing everything within our power to secure networks in the ways that we know how, but we still have to follow the letter of the law. And we have to follow contracts and stipulations and everything else. So for us, we're always going to be behind the 8 ball. We can't go in blind and be like, all right, cool, I'm just going to run this exploit and hope it doesn't bring something down. No, that doesn't work for us. We have to be cognizant of what we're doing. So yes, we always have to be up to date on the newest, but we also have to let people know what we're doing, and there's a lot of chain of command, a lot of things that we got to deal with, where the malicious attackers don't have to worry about that. So again, we have to be learning, but we just got to try to stay as close to that 8 ball as possible because we're always going to be behind it. There's just nothing we can do about it. I've had this conversation. Nobody's given me an answer yet. So if any of you three have an answer on how we can catch up, please let me know. But
it's kind of, I mean, one idea that I've heard tossed out there is it's kind of like war, I've heard people saying I'm an infantryman, and we have Al over here who was actually Maverick. Top Gun was actually based loosely off his life story, and I'm not gonna lie, so was Grey's Anatomy and Doctor Who. But I'm just playing around, man. But you do have an awesome story. I didn't even want to follow you. I was about to bounce. I'm not even gonna lie, man. You're like, I'm a pilot. I'm a biologist. Like that's some awesome stuff. The thing I heard was people said that if we didn't have the Geneva Convention, wars would be won quicker. And there's arguments for both ways. There's things within ethics, and that's one of the things I've heard brought up is if we didn't have to follow the red tape, if they just said, hey guys, you know what? Let's get all the hackers together. Let's get all the red teamers together, the purple, the blue, what have you, and just take the gloves off. You got a week. See how far you get. We might be able to make an impact. But then again, after that week, they're already thinking of ways that we aren't even allowed to do yet. And a lot of times they're in countries where there's no penalties for hacking. They want you to hack. A lot of these APT groups are sponsored or work for the government, they're part of Spetsnaz Guru or whatever. They can do things that we can't do as civilians. And if you work for a government contracted company or you work for one of the alphabet agencies, they have things that a lot of people in cybersecurity don't get to do. So it just depends, I guess, on your role, and the government roles are just, there's not enough of them.
Yeah, what's your take, Al and Rodrigo, man? What's your input on how things are going, and is there any way to do anything? Does passion play a role? Does, how's all this fit into what we have chosen? And again, it's a choice. We chose this career path at the end of the day. So with that choice, passion, money, like how do these things play a role in the decisions we make and where we're at now and how we can get better?
I think what you said about passion not necessarily being critical, but I would say it's critical for being for being at the top, being closer to the top or echelons of the field. You have to be passionate about it, because like you said, it does require, you can't just be a 9-to-5er if you want to be if you want to be a standout in this field. You can't just be a 9-to-5er, and that's not for everybody, and that's okay. Like, people have lives and families and stuff. Like, imagine having a family, unironically, in 2021, and trying to be a hacker at the same time. It's not everyone wants to put in all the extra hours it requires to be a practitioner of the dark arts, but if you really do need to kind of embrace that the passion, and embrace the suck at times, and just embrace the whole lifestyle, if you want to go through the gauntlet and come out a better hacker at the end of it. And really, it just comes down to, if we want to stay ahead, one step ahead of the adversary, you just got to have people that are more crazy about it than they are, I suppose.
Well said.
Yeah, definitely well said, man. And for those saying, what's a family? Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I got a wife and 5 kids. I don't hide who I am. I don't hide anything about myself. Go back and look at my YouTube channel. You can see a video called I'm a Hacker. Yes, I tell my story and who I am. But yeah, I have a family. I know how hard it is. And one of the things, and I'll point this out, and then Rodrigo, I want your take. When I was in the Army and I was going through the schoolhouse, I had a soldier ask me, how do I know what I know? Because I was going through SANS courses and already knew the shit they were teaching. And I said, all right, let me ask you a question. What do you do when you go home? When you're done with your work for the day, what do you do? And they said, well, I go home, I make dinner, feed the kids, watch TV, this, that, and the third. I said, all right, I'll tell you what I do. I go home, and every night, without fail, I take at least 2 hours on a computer to practice my craft. Because this is what I love. This is what I want to do for my career. My wife understood it. My kids understood it. And to this day, they understand it. I've got a family, wife, 5 kids. Yet I'm here right now doing this show. On Tuesdays, I'm live doing Tech Tuesday, doing a show. I work all day. But they understand that this is what I love. And it's, and I take as much time as possible with my family, but they know this also is what I enjoy doing, and it also makes me happy. So it's a career that I chose. And if it wasn't for the support of my family, I wouldn't be where I'm at. But if you take an hour or 2 hours every night, so even if you have a family, but you're trying to get further in your career or learn more, take an hour, take 2 hours, do Hack the Box, try Hack Me, develop malware, look at Sims, whatever it is you want to do, whether it's blue, red, GRC, I don't care. Learn policy, learn whatever you want to learn. But take that time to do it and practice it. Because then when you go for your certifications that everybody say is hard, they're no longer hard. You go for SANS certs, and I'll be honest, the first 4 I took, you might as well have been saying it's a pen test cert, because I knew every tool and was allowed to be as noisy as I wanted to be taking those certs. So it didn't matter. Your baseline certs are all about learning theory and understanding tool sets and what the output is. So don't be afraid. When you're looking at an OSCP, it's all about knowing enumeration and what the tools do, and just don't use Metasploit. Okay, I'll use GitHub and I'll use ExploitDB, pull down the exploits, and go about my day. But learn enumeration. So it's all about understanding how things work and where to go. So I love this field. I've always loved it, but you got to take the time to learn it, and you can't do it during the workday sometimes. Some of us are in IT. Some of us are in freaking healthcare or working at Starbucks or whatever the case may be. And if you don't take the time when you get off work to practice it, then it doesn't matter what you do with your life, how many jobs you apply for, you will not get any further. You have to take the time on your own to advance your career. And if you don't, then does that career matter to you? So, saying that, Rodrigo, give me your take, man.
Well, when I was working 20 years ago in the industry, it wasn't just a job or a career. I'd go home and I would do what you say. I'd take time to further my learning capacity. I found that it wasn't just a career or a job, it was a lifestyle. Like this sort of computing industry was a lifestyle. It was a choice and it became part of my life. Everything that I used to do on the computer was related to security, like trying to learn how to develop malware even back then. I mean, I was only 21. And all my friends were all related to computers and security and whatnot in that sense. And it just became like as I said, it was a lifestyle and it doesn't change. I mean, I got married, I got a daughter, and my interest in computers still stayed the same. I'd always just participate in learning and further my understanding of how things worked. And yeah, that's how it became part of my life, and it still is. 20 years later, I want to get back into it, and I feel it's going to be the same way. It's going to take that part of my life that's going to envelope me in that sort of industry. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Setcon asked the question, do I have or have I taken any of the SANS cloud security certs? No, I have not. Actually, I don't even have a G pen. I don't have a GX pen. I have GSEC, GCED, GPYC, GCIH, and GREM. And I'll tell you right now, the hardest cert I have ever taken in my life, as much as people put on the OSCP, and yes, that is an awesome certification for pen testers that want to learn enumeration and break into the field. And I say break in. I'm not saying it is the end-all be-all. And if you think it is, please reevaluate your situation, because it is not. It is an entry-level pen tester cert. And by that, I mean, please do not go attempt the OSCP if you don't know how to crack a Windows password with a SAM file and the system file. I swear, do not. If you don't know how to look things up, do not attempt it. Because pen testing, red teaming, and everything else is all about knowing how to do your research on the vulnerabilities that you find. But saying that, GREM is the hardest one I've ever taken. Reverse engineering malware without really truly understanding assembly is the hardest certification I have ever taken in my life, and that includes the CISP and OSCP and everything else. And that is because
you're a bold one. You're a bold one to go into that without understanding assembly.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, what do you mean you didn't understand? Like, I thought that was like a prerequisite.
Did you just kind of guess what everything
did? So here's how
like
I went.
learn to drive, you stab and steer.
So here's how I went. At my last job, my boss was like, hey, let's go to SANS CTI last year, and I want you to take one of the courses and whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was looking at what I liked, and I was like, well, reverse engineering malware would be cool, so let's figure that out. And I went there, and the instructor, and this is why I love SANS, and this is why they're so expensive, the instructor was on point. This is what he did for a living. Every day, day in, day out, he reverse engineered malware. So going through it, I was able to sit there and he taught us assembly, what to look for in assembly code. Mind you, I cannot write assembly. I cannot go ahead and dissect every program out there. But if given a piece of malware, I have the know-how and the book still to go through and know what to look for in the reverse, in the disassembled file, to figure out what it's doing and where it's hiding files or hiding processes or looking for debuggers, whatever the case may be. I have that know-how. Now, is it something I do on a regular basis so I could just do it on a whim? No. I don't. I'd love to, but I don't. But I did enough and I learned enough that when I went and took the test, I was able to take the test and pass it. But yeah, I love coding. I don't code often, but I love coding. I love learning all these different topics. but my brain doesn't work how others do, where they can just pinpoint, like, I want to be a reverse engineer, or I want to be a red teamer and know how to break into shit, or I want to work. No. My brain don't work like that. My brain's like, oh, I want to know sim and grem and red teaming and hacking and lock picking and you name it. I want to learn it, and then I just get spread out all over. So I will never claim to be an expert in any one thing, except helping people, because that I love to do. So,
and great taste in beer.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, who can go wrong?
Fantastic.
Yingling right here.
Yeah, can we get a sponsorship for this, man? I mean,
I hope, man. I drink it every episode.
Oldest brewery in the United States. What are we doing here, guys? Come on, Yingling. Come on, we got to respond to this. Let's go.
So yeah, but I've seen a lot of things. So CW InfoSec on YouTube. So I'm running Twitch and YouTube on YouTube, and he made a comment that I felt was valid, at least for me. So you three, please correct me if it's any different from you. But as people that do CTFs or red teaming or whatever the case may be, if you are in the middle of something, if you don't know a way in, you kind of just can go to sleep. Like, I don't know how right now, I'll get back to it in the morning. But if you get that little hint, like, wait, it might be this port or this service or whatever the case may be, you can't sleep. Or if you lay down, your mind's going 1,000 miles an hour going, wait, what if I try this? Then this, then this. Then it'll go here. Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to lay in bed. I'm just going to go do it until I figure it out. Because you can't sleep at that point because you've already started it. So you got to finish it.
I can't not finish a puzzle. I mean, Al is, a subject matter expert on this. I'm very new to it, but when I did DEF CON, me and my team, we hopped in and I did the OSINT portion. And then when we started doing the other things, I wasn't sleeping until they were like, hey, this is over. And I just kind of pushed through it, energy drinks. And I have that itch that I can't scratch. When I want to know something, I have to figure it out. And I can't speak for Al, Rodrigo, or for, the Cyber Maestre here, but I personally, I don't know that word quit. I don't know that word of, you know what? Hey man, get a couple hours of sleep. I'm like, wait a second. That bed'll be there in 6 hours. This opportunity won't be there. So I'm going to do this and I can sleep when I'm dead. That's just for me. I can't speak for Rodrigo, yourself, or Al, but no way. No way. When I commit, when I'm in, that's it. Day's over. Girlfriend's like, I'm not going to see you. I'm like, no, it's not happening. Just better. It's like the quote by Happy Gilmore, better luck next year.
I'm actually gonna go against the grain just a little bit here. I fully understand that point of view, by the way, because I tend towards that point of view as well. Like, I find it hard to step away from something with things left unsolved as well. Except I find that those times when I've actually stepped away from it, like just this past week, I was really beating my head against something. I just couldn't figure something out. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because it wasn't exactly a hacking thing. It was Adobe Premiere Pro. Okay. But
I got you, fam. Don't worry. That's where I got you. Don't worry. We got this.
Nothing shatters your confidence as a hacker, and when you, as much as not being able to get software to work in the way it's intended to be used. But my point is that, like, I was like, fuck it. We're going to bed. We're going to solve this in the morning. And I laid down, and like you said, your mind you're still going. My mind doesn't quiet. It doesn't just quiet down right away. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, what if I did this? Did I try that? And then I got back. I was like, I got to do that. I got to get up and try that. I'm not gonna be able to sleep until I do. I get up and I did it and it worked. And then I went to bed a much happier person. But like, I would say you need to take some time away. You need to, there are some times when beating your head against the wall until your head is bloody becomes counterproductive. At a certain point, you do need to step away, come back to it with fresh eyes. This is why I've mentored many people on the OSCP exam, which, by the way, CyberWarrior, you're spitting bars as far as OSCP being not an end goal. It is an entry level cert. It's the beginning. Not it's and like
it's the first taste of blood.
It's it's your first real victory in the space, I suppose. It's not meant to be like an end goal. So Well, I've mentored many people to help them get OSCP. I run the InfoSec Prep Discord, so it's like we got 18,000 people or so that we've.
I am
that
a member
that
of
we're
this.
leading.
I used to
Yeah,
be on
we're
that
leading towards
Discord. I
OSCP.
had to drop off because I had too many servers and was no longer like participating. And then on top of that, I got tired of getting messages about, hey, can you give me a nudge on this box? I'm like, man, I am not pulling up my cherry notes from a test I took 6 months ago. It's just not happening. Like
I mean, I took it 3 years ago, and I still get those messages. Hey, can you help me on Humble?
oh my God.
It's maddening, honestly. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I took it 3 years ago. But here's what you do, because Humble is the one I've asked about I get asked about the most by far.
Which
but
one?
My point
I
is, like,
forget which one that was.
That one had a MongoDB.
Okay.
It was a MongoDB.
That was a bitch.
You had to explain a NoSQL injection, kind of custom like.
Yep.
So that one was a little bit of a bitch, like you said. But my point is that, like, one of the things I tell people to do on the exam, I'm like only beat your head against the wall of one box on the exam for so long, because and after a while, just either rotate to another box, or if it's late, go to sleep. I know it's going to be hard to sleep. I know you just kind of want to power through, but trust me, come back to it with fresh eyes, and you'll be more productive. You'll be rested. Like, you need to know when to take some time away and come back. You'd be surprised what you can do when your brain comes back to it with a fresh outlook. That's all I'm saying.
And you know what? I guess I should have prefaced that. I won't go to sleep, but for me to step away, for me to rotate to something. So on my CTF team, I'm the guy where, like, my handle's essential. It came from when COVID started. We had essential workers, and all I was doing was OSINT. And my friend goes, "So you're the essential worker?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that just kind of stuck. But if I can't do that OSINT problem, or I can't do this scripting, or I can't do this reverse engineering, I will flip to something else. But I can't lay in a bed and be like, you know what, I'm going to go to sleep, because exactly like you said, I'll lay in bed for 8/5 of a second and it's pop up. Hey, whoa, hold on. I didn't even think about this. Let's go. And I'm just rejuvenated. I have, I feel like I just drank an energy drink and I have to go at it. So I'll rotate, but I can't go to sleep personally. If you can, you're way more experienced than I am, but if you can, hats off to you, my man.
Yeah,
I totally understand your point of view.
Yeah, my mind doesn't rest as it is. Like, I lay in bed, my wife falls asleep, after she's whatever and decides to go to sleep, and I'm still sitting there going, I should really go to sleep right now. But if it isn't work, it's like family life or something else. Like, it's just nonstop, just going and going and going and going. And I'm just like, So when I did my OSCP, I literally did not go to bed till I think like midnight, 1 o'clock. But I would get up and walk away. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a smoker. I usually try to stick to an e-cigarette, but I'll go outside and I'll have a real cigarette. And on my OSCP, I can't tell you how many times I walked outside to be like, you know what, I'm gonna smoke real quick, get away from this box, get away from my computer, and just let my dog out and breathe. And yes, I took it twice. First time I failed the report, pricks, but it was my fault. I'll admit it. I looked at the report after the fact and was like, yeah, I deserved to fail that one.
Get good.
But yeah, it is. No matter what your problem is, if you're a red teamer, if you're a pen tester, if you're a blue teamer or GRC or whatever, understand that the problem is going to be there. And I think that is one of the biggest problems we have. And Rodrigo, I do want your input on this as someone who wrote malware or helped with malware early on and is now getting back into the field. I definitely want your input on this. But for my opinion, when you're looking at these things, you got to be able to step away and just take a breath, because we become so engulfed in our work. But we don't realize, and a lot of times I'm the same way, it's going to be there tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. Unless you're on a CTF or a certification where your points matter and it's probably not going to be there tomorrow. If it's work, it's going to be there tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. You're not going to, if you think you're going to finish a week's worth of work in one night, it's not going to happen. And if you're that good, please come teach me. But I do. I think we are so ingrained in this culture and ingrained in this life that we're afraid to give it a break. We're afraid to step away. And I don't know if it's, I don't necessarily know if it's afraid or fear or just anxiety or just joy and not knowing how to sleep. But something about those that really succeed in this field, we don't know how to take a breath and realize it'll be there. We can figure it out tomorrow. We can figure it out in an hour. We just keep going. And it is. That's why people give us a stereotype of living in your mom's basement and just going all day. Even married with kids. If it wasn't for the fact that I had them, I would not leave my computer because I wouldn't be able to make my mind stop. So they're my saving grace. So how everybody else copes, I don't know. I know my family is what gets me away from my computer. So Rodrigo, man, I got to hear from you, man, especially over in Australia. I want your voice heard because I'm sure you shared this. I'm sure you got friends over there that need to hear what you got to say.
All right. Well, I'm also a smoker. So I used to have we call them durries over here as a slang word. I have a durry every now and then. And this one time, one of our clients submitted a Trojan horse. It was sub 7 2.21, like one of the early on Trojan horses. And the stub at the end was encrypted with, I can't remember, some sort of ECB, encoded code book sort of cipher. What I had to do was the password was protected. I couldn't gain access to the Trojan like data. So I created a new Trojan horse, a new subset of Trojan horse with the password that was already stored, and then I just basically hex edited and copied the password across to the older file. So then I could gain access to the actual whole Trojan horse. I managed to do it, but to work it out, it took me for ages. Now, I'd had to, as I said, I had many a smoke break to try and figure out how I could gain access to the data inside this Trojan horse. And once I managed to do it and crack it, I password cracked it, reverse engineered it. I logged on to the IRC server that it was part of a botnet, and there was 800 computers that were all on this IRC server. But like what you were saying, like the stepping away, I had to do that so many times because otherwise you get so focused and you get a train of thought, but you can't like get past it unless you take a break and having a cigarette. I know it's a bad habit, but that would allow me to rethink, re-step. Yeah. And I'd start off with a fresh mind. Yeah, I'd start off with a fresh mind of fresh train of thought, and it'd kick off a new line of thinking to solve a problem. So you do need to step away. You can't just sit there with the same sort of thought process. You know, obviously use other methods other than smoking, but that's what I discovered. So anyway, with this particular case, there was 800 infected computers, and I wrote a script in our software using VBS scripting that was modified to work with our software that would connect to each machine and send the uninstall command for the subset and Trojan horse. In the morning, I woke up, looked at the IRC server, 650 to 700 computers dropped off the network. It was actually reported on the news back then in 2000. It was kind of good, quite an achievement for me back then. These days, you get botnets of hundreds of thousands. You know, it's so different. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah, speaking of that, I need Malware Tech Blog to come on this show too. I need to get that man on this show because he had some interesting news in the past few years. That man. But nah, that's amazing. Like, what you can do is something I've never been able to do. And I'm always amazed. And like I said, I talked to Chris earlier today. There's so many people out there that are so much more intelligent than me in different aspects of the field. And I can't do what you can do, Rodrigo. So if I can help you out in any way, I'm all about it because I love seeing people with that mindset, that capability, the willingness to go out there, learn new things, do new things, and see them come up. And so getting your story heard, because you don't necessarily have the experience that maybe some companies are looking for, I want you to be heard so that they can see that you know what you're doing. Now, the caveat to that is the only way anybody can find a job or find you, they ain't going to take your word for it. You got to publish something. Blogs, YouTube videos, Twitch streams, whatever it is. That's how you get found. Because if you hide yourself and want to be anonymous and never be known and have no one ever know your name, then how are they going to know to hire you? Because you can claim any handle at that point. You can sit there and be like, oh yeah, I'm this guy. And then you start there and they're like, no, you're not. I've seen his videos. You're definitely not him. But if you're able to put yourself out there in such a way, and I've said this several times on several videos, I've talked to college students and I've told them, do a blog. I don't care if you're setting up a lab with Security Onion or Pi-hole or breaking into Hack the Box and Try Hack Me or whatever the case may be, and or doing Bug Crowd or HackerOne, and you're like getting up to the elite levels. I don't care. But if you put that stuff, and don't send those resumes, I'm sorry, don't fucking do it. Don't send them through HR, through the normal apply here channels. Make your network and send it to the hiring manager. Send it to the people that matter. Because when you're going through HR, they're going to look for certifications or experience or college degrees or Lord knows what else. And it's just going to get lost and they're not going to care. And if you don't meet their, at least probably, I don't know, 80% of their prereqs, it isn't going to fucking matter. They're just going to throw it away anyways. But if you send it to a hiring manager and they look up your name or they see, oh shit, he has a blog or a YouTube channel, let's go see what he actually produces, then they're actually going to know, holy shit, I need to hire this guy. Or at least interview him and see if he meshes with the team or if there's going to be issues or conflict. But you'll at least get your foot in the door to get that initial conversation. And I say that to everybody. Because if you hide, and I had someone tell me that producing a blog or requiring a YouTube channel or something like that was gatekeeping, I'm sorry, no, you're wrong. And I will tell you that every day. It is not gatekeeping. It is proving you know what you know. Because if you can't prove it by certifications, if you can't prove it by a degree, you better be able to prove it when I ask you to do the job. And how better way than, you know what? I don't have to do a technical interview. Go ahead, watch my videos. Then you'll get the technical interview, and they'll test you, but you'll blow it out of the water anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter at that point. Because you already know your shit. But why give you a technical interview if you ain't got certs to back it up, if you ain't got a degree to back it up, if you ain't got a blog to back it up, something to make it worth their while and prove you know what you know. So saying that, I've said my piece. I'm off my pedestal for a minute.
I like the way you put that, and it is true, at least in my experience. You know, me and you were talking earlier about just the types of interviews I've been on, and part of the problem, and you know, I'd love to hear Rodrigo and Al's, and I know your opinion, but I'm sure the people listening in would love to hear your opinion too, is a lot of times people don't realize when you see these job postings on job boards, on LinkedIn, Glassdoor, what have you, it's not coming from someone who has maybe any idea what they're even asking for.
Sure.
You know, I seen a job when I first got into cybersecurity, when I first started applying for jobs, and it was asking for an entry-level job, and it was asking for a CISSP, an OSCP, or a CEH, and it had just the certs it had, and it was paying like $25 an hour. And I was like, hold on, timeout. Wait a second. This can't be real. And I started seeing more of those. And I realized people were just copy pasting whatever they seen on the internet that was desired and just asking for it. So I started even applying to those jobs with those credentials under a fake name, and they'd get me in and they would say, you know, oh, so I see you have a CISP. No. What do you mean no? No, I don't have that, because no one that's going to look at this job has that. Let me tell you what I do have. And some of them have liked it. and some of them haven't. But I think that's a stigma that's enveloping the industry, and I think that's something that I hope a channel like this, I hope a video like this, someone can see it out there and have hope that, hold on a second. I mean, we're not all Al, we're not all pilots, we're not Rodrigo, who was on the cutting edge of the first time malware was really being a big thing, and realize that this is an industry that you can get into if you do put your nose to the grindstone and get into it. At least that's my opinion. I can't speak for everyone, but that's my experience at least.
I mean, I could speak in my field, especially like on the offensive side, like the purely offensive side. All that really matters, all that really the hirers care about is, can you do the thing? Can you do the thing? That's all they care about. So it's first of all, what you said about HR is entirely correct. They're asking about things they don't fully understand. They don't know what OSCP is. They don't know what EJPT is. They don't know what CEH is. They don't know what the difference is between any of these. All they're doing is going off of like either someone's telling them of what to ask for, or they're just pulling it from online of what's desired in the industry.
It seems like they grab their bosses and just copy paste. Oh, he has OSCP and these certs. Let me just copy paste this, and I want entry level 3 to 5 years experience.
Yeah,
go.
I mean, yeah, that's totally common. But like these days, I'm usually put through like a battery of interviews. There's going to be a technical interview. There's going to be more of a soft skills interview. There's going to be, and usually there's some kind of a hands-on challenge. They're going to put me to the test somehow. Either they'll have me connect to a VPN and do like a short CTF or something, or I've had it before where they've given me a VM to like break into and then write an entire report summarizing my findings. Things of that nature. It's very common to have to prove you can do the thing, and I think it's just about every interview I've taken in the last couple of years, which is quite a few. I have the luxury of being picky in the jobs that I take, which is nice when you're in the infosec field. You're kind of sought after. Once you have a couple years of experience, you got a couple certs, you're going to be sought after by the recruiters, which is nice. They're going to come looking for you. But it's very common for them to ask me something like, hey, what are you doing in the community? How are you involved? Do you have a GitHub page? Do you have a blog? What can we check out to see what input you're having into the community? And for my last interview, I had just started my Twitch stream. So I was able to say, hey, I'm doing some Twitch streaming now. It's kind of taken off. And they actually checked out the stream and then bumped me up a pay grade. They promoted me to like a team lead position because they were so impressed with my contributions to the education of the cybersecurity, in the cybersecurity field. And they wanted me to bring those skills to the table in teaching the other team members who were also coming on at that time. So you need something. I know that the imposter syndrome is rampant. Like you're never going to feel like you always feel like there's going to be some arbitrary time in the future where you're going to know things and be able to put something out to the community that's valuable. You're always it's always going to feel like, hey, I just don't feel like I know enough right now to like give back to the community. But that is imposter syndrome speaking. It's a fallacy. You need like start giving back early on. Make a GitHub, start putting code on it, learn a programming language and start putting code on it. It doesn't matter if it's rudimentary code, start coding. Let people see your work. Get involved in the Discord communities. Lots of great Discord communities. Get involved, get involved in the communities of various streamers and content creators. Get involved in the community. This is a very small community. It is tiny. It is compared to other professional communities, it is absolutely minuscule. People know each other, okay? People talk, and connections are everything. So you've got to reach out. You got to get out of your bubble. You've got to give back to the community, participate in the community, and that's what they really like to see on interviews, honestly.
That's, and that's been my experience too. I went to a cybersecurity boot camp and I was looking at applying for a job at one of the big four. And I just went on LinkedIn. Turned out one of the instructors that was at my boot camp worked for this person or worked for this company. So I started talking to him and that led me down one rabbit hole. And then he introduced me to someone, and it's amazing it's kind of the military aspect of it, I guess, is the best way I could compare it. You know, you have the military of the Army, you have all the branches, but then you have, you know, SOCOM, you have special operations. Cybersecurity is that special operations community. You know, you see all the Navy SEALs, and I have a couple of friends of mine, Navy SEALs, a lot of respect, but you see a lot of fake Navy SEALs because there is so many Hollywood movies about them. And it's amazing how quick the fake ones get called out because the community is so small. They're like, you know, when did you graduate? Wait, what group were you with? Cybersecurity is just like that. And it's amazing. Me and Derek were talking, or me and CyberWarrior were talking, and he was like, hey, hold on, I know this guy. And it was amazing how many people through your spider web that you end up making that you know. I mean, I guarantee the four of us could sit there and just rattle off a few names, and we all know so many people. And I've only been in this industry for a year. You guys have all been in it much longer than me, and it's amazing how many people know each other. It's there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's a small community after all.
Yeah, definitely. Rodrigo, man, give us your take before I chime in, because I got a few things on this about certifications, about CISP, imposter syndrome, and everything else. So go ahead, chime in, and then I'll say my piece.
Well, a lot of people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. But in this case, I think it's both. It's what you know and who you know at the same time. Definitely what you know. You know, you need to be able to do what people are asking you to do. You know, pen testing and any sort of skill set that you have. But at the same time, if you know a few names and can get in that way, I'm sure that someone can land a pretty good job or get a good career start out of that. So yeah, I agree there. I agree with what both said.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I'm going to say my piece on this. So we talked about certifications on job recs, like CISP and people throwing things out there. I will say this. I had a recruiter call me, and one of the certification requirements was GIAC. I asked the question, which one? And he said, what do you mean? All right. So for any recruiter, and if you are not, whether you're working for a company that specifically, or you work for a recruiting agency, before you call somebody, please research the certifications that are being asked for. GIAC is a certification authority that holds authority over so many certifications. When you look at my SANS certs, they are certified by GIAC. GSEC is GIAC Security Essentials. GCIH, GIAC Certified Incident Handler, and I can go on. So I asked the guy, which one? He's like, I don't know what you mean. So I explained it to him. He was like, holy shit. Well, I don't know, because it just says GIAC. I said, then you're calling the wrong person. I was like, because I'm not going to sit there and work for a company that doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And if you don't know what you're talking about, then I don't want to talk to you either. And yes, I was a dick. I mean, we talked a lot afterwards, and he realized, okay, shit, I got to do my research before I actually do these things. So it turned out well. But yeah, I was an asshole to begin with, because if you're going to ask me a question that is that, like, come on. That's like somebody going on Facebook trying to fish someone with their own family members. Like, let's be real here. Like, come on. Let's just do your research first. And that's what I see. Now, saying that, there are a lot of good recruiting agencies. I'm not going to say recruiters for companies. I'm going to say recruiting agencies out there. There are a lot of good ones. And sometimes, if you do not have the social aptitude or the willingness to connect with the hiring managers, recruiting agencies is who you want to go through. I can name a few. For veterans, Bradley Morris. In the cybersecurity industry, they are one of the best. That is who got me one of my jobs outside of the Army. For everybody else and veterans, Technical Cyber Solutions. They find jobs globally. I will vouch for both of them. If you are looking for technical cyber, go ahead, connect to Paul Charles on LinkedIn. Get on my Discord server. find me on Discord. I'll connect you. I also work, not for a recruiting agency, but I have no problem linking you up with hiring managers, with directors, with CISOs, or anybody else. So if you're looking for a job and you can tell me either certifications or we can discuss your background, I will vouch for you. I will say that outright because I have no problem going to bat for anybody in this industry that is busting their ass to get their name known.
I can verify that.
I did it while I was on a call with you. So, saying that though, talking about HR, look, please stop applying through these jobs, like HR jobs. Apply for it. I'm not going to say stop. I'm going to say apply for it. I don't care if you meet 0% of the recs. Apply for it. But reach out to hiring managers. Please do it. Get on LinkedIn. Start developing your profile. Look at mine. Look at Paul Charles's. Look at JJ Davies. Look at Chris Lewin's. Look at everybody else's. And look at some of these bigwigs like the CISOs and the CIOs and the CEOs and see how their profiles are built. That way, when you start reaching out to these hiring managers and these directors, you can be found. And when they look at yours, they realize you know what you know. But if you're going to do that, so help me God, if you ain't got the education to back you, you better have, like Al said, like Chris said, like I've said, and everybody else will tell you, you better have a blog, a YouTube channel, a Twitch stream, something to back it up. Because if you don't, then what the hell are they looking at? They're going to be looking at a blank space and you just commenting on posts. And I can be anybody commenting on a post. It doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. Now, moving on. Because, man, there's a lot of people in here, actually. I'm surprised. I haven't had this many people in a while.
Hello, everyone.
Right?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome,
hey,
Twitch
I'm
and
gonna give a shout out.
YouTubers.
I'm going to give a shout out. If you like the content you've heard, if you like my man Cyber Warrior, click the link down below and subscribe to the channel. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger, guys. I mean, we got Al on here today, Rodrigo, myself. Tomorrow it could be you, or it could be someone you know, guys. I mean, come on, seriously. Like,
so
this is what's going on.
So one of the comments I had was talking about contract work. And you get a lot of calls for contract work. Us in the military, us veterans get a lot of calls or a lot of emails or a lot of LinkedIn messages or whatever the case may be about contract work. And I got to say, I personally don't like contract work because you're either don't get benefits or there's a restriction on time or whatever the case may be. What's your take? Because I know it can make a lot of money. I had a contract that I turned down for $170 a year in Pittsburgh. So I know the money is there, but what's your feel on it when it comes to this field?
So my sister's a recruiter for a very large company. My sister, a very good friend, two very good friends of mine, her boyfriend are recruiters for tech systems. So I hear a lot about contract work. That's a little different type of contract work. I would say, at least in my opinion and experience, it depends on the contract, and you really got to look at it and cross your T's and dot your I's, because you really got to make sure you know what you're getting into and who you're working for. You know, I mean, these companies are so big and so vast. They're either a people farm or they could actually care. It just really depends on the contract, at least from my understanding.
I fully agree. I mean, some people like contract work more simply because they like variety. Variety is sometimes people like to hop between jobs. They like to get a new perspective, a new position to like learn more things and like expand their horizons and all that stuff. Contract work is great for people that for those kind of people. I'm technically on a contract right now. It's just a 5-year contract, so not looking at it ending anytime, and I'm not looking at it jumping off anytime. I'm not looking at changing anytime soon, but technically my work is a contract. My full-time job is a contract job right now. But you know, it does come with downsides. I mean, a lot of contract jobs don't have benefits, for instance. You're going to get paid hourly, which kind of sucks for some people. But you know, there's pros and cons to both. And it varies depending on the job that you're going to be doing. I would say it's not so easy to say, like contract work bad so you got to look at each position individually and see if it suits your needs.
Well said. It really depends on what that contract is. Is it 3 months? Is it 5 years? Those are totally different gamuts. And a lot of people are just like, oh, it's a job, and just click yes. And at least in my experience, I would urge you, hold out. At the end of the day, there's less of us that are in the cybersecurity field than there are jobs. No matter how many jobs you have to apply for, it seems like there's less of us that are truly passionate or skilled about the industry than there are jobs. And it's only getting bigger, especially with the persistent threats the way they are. This isn't going away. It's not going to get better, at least in my opinion. I mean, some people may say, oh yeah, with technology. I don't think it's going to get better. Human ingenuity will trump most things, so it's only gonna get bigger.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, which, by the way, hey, Chris, so we had someone that enjoyed your background. He literally said, I'm here for the Metallica Master of Puppets backgrounds.
So I use the Metallica Master of Puppets background in the school that I'm an assistant instructor at. Somebody commented and they're like, you have crosses. And so my passion is like, Al, I will never hold a candle to a man like that when it comes to red teaming. I just won't. And I love red teaming, and I love the idea of it. My passion is social engineering, phishing, and hacking. But when people say hacking, I think there's an aspect of hacking that people underestimate, which is hacking humans, hacking the human mind, and being able to manipulate people. And wait, whoa. I have to pause that comment. Did that have mics?
Yeah, so if y'all didn't see the face I just made, I didn't look behind me before I grabbed something out of the fridge and grabbed the completely wrong drink. So yes, it is. And I'm ashamed.
Hey, Mike's was great in the 90s.
The completely wrong drink. Yeah, how this Mike's Hard Lemonade get
So no,
in here?
it's been in there. So all right. So we'll let Chris continue in a second, and this is why I love this stream, because I really don't care. I love just going on. My father-in-law, oh God, weeks ago now, probably before Christmas sometime, brought over a 6-pack of Mike's, and I thought he was going to drink it, and he didn't drink any of it except for like one. So I put it in my fridge because I have the only alcohol fridge in the house, and I haven't touched it. So this is not the first time. This is actually the second time that I did not look behind me before I grabbed something. I just opened the fridge and grab it, and I opened it without looking, and then it went like this and was like, shit, wrong one. So as this does become a podcast that is audio only, if you're listening, the mics was completely on accident. You can't see, but I was not looking at the fridge. Anybody watching can see that I was not looking at the fridge. But
So
continue on, Chris.
So I believe an aspect that's underestimated of cyber is hacking humans, like hacking the human mind, manipulating. I come from a sales background. I come from an auto sales background, which I'll take the Pepsi challenge and argue with anybody. Auto sales is probably the hardest type of sales because everyone comes in a predisposition to hate you. And my goal was to sell you a vehicle. Most of the time, people don't need that vehicle. And I had to learn to manipulate the human mind to be successful in my industry. And the Master of Puppets came when I started learning about cyber, and I started learning about phishing and social engineering and OSINT and how to be able to really capitalize on that was basically to be the puppet master. I think phishing is a bad term. I think being the puppet master and being able to keep everyone on a string. And I'm a huge Metallica fan, so if you're all about the Master of Puppets and you're about Metallica and just heavy metal in general, get you some. That's kind of where the background came.
Yeah, so Chris, we got a question for you, man. FOMAT. So anybody who doesn't know FOMAT, it's on my YouTube channel. So those watching on Twitch, you're not going to see this question. But Fomat, one of my Bang Bang Panda Gang people, wants to know: do you have a certain approach that you start with when social engineering, or does it vary based off the situation?
It's gonna, for me at least, and Al has experience in this as well, and everyone in this room actually does. But for me, it depends on the situation, but it depends on the individual or the scope. And I like to get a little information. So in sales, I would like to, people would want to talk about the product first. That's never been me. I would try and talk about the person, when I was in auto sales, I'd see their vehicle pull up, they're in a pickup truck. I would start having assumptions. I'd look at their fingernails, look at the way they dressed. I'd see a fishing sticker. Like, I seen a guy, for example, I sold a Chevy Avalanche to, that had a muskie sticker on the back. And he walked in and I said, whoa, you're a muskie fisherman. He said, yes, I am. And I said, really, what's your biggest? You hit the big 50, which is considered a trophy size fish. And he goes, that's everyone's goal, right? I said, really, this is 53.5 by 26.5 with Nolan Kip on Green Bay. That's my muskie. And instantly the guards, the walls, they came right down. And now I'm inside his head. And I've sold him many vehicles. And if you're listening to this, which I'm assuming not, because you're not in cybersecurity, you're still a good friend of mine, but that's kind of how I approach things. So if I'm creating a phishing campaign, I created a phishing campaign in the cohort that I'm teaching, and we had a target. So I researched the neighborhood. I actually lived in the neighborhood when I got divorced, and I had really kind of nowhere to live. And I started OSINTing that, and I started researching that and kind of trying to envelop that. And I put it into a well-crafted phishing campaign, so that when the people read it, they thought they were talking to just someone from the neighborhood. And it's amazing that when people feel comfortable, how much they will let you know about themselves. And that's, if that answers the question, I guess that's kind of my approach, is just try and make people feel comfortable with you. When people are comfortable, they'll get complacent, they'll make mistakes.
I agree with all of that. That's a great take. I do want to highlight though that it starts with the nonverbals. Yeah, I would say that a lot of it is nonverbals, maybe even the majority. It starts with your overall appearance, how you're dressed, how you're acting, what's your body language like. Things like this, especially if you're in a place that you're not supposed to be and you don't want to arouse suspicion. So first of all, the key is to look like you know where you're going, even if you don't. Like, walk with a purpose. Walk with don't just amble around. Don't look like you're just like looking into rooms, and like don't look don't look like you don't know where you are. Don't look confused. Walk straight ahead. Walk with a purpose, and be and you and even if you don't have any idea where you're going, and just try to figure it out as you go. And also when you're addressing a person, a lot of how you're going to address them is going to depend on the situation at hand. But a lot of times there are a couple of constants. Okay, you want to be confident. You want to act like you know what's going on. And you want to, and you're maybe it often helps to appear mildly frustrated. Like you should be able to do something simple, but you can't do it, and you need this person's help to help to get it done. Because people naturally want to believe you unless you give them a good reason not to. So you need to just give them a good reason to believe you, and they also, not only that, but they also want to help other people unless you give them a good reason not to. So you want to gently, non-verbally coax them into helping you before you even start talking, before the words even start coming out of your mouth. So again, as far as your appearance, like, honestly, if you're just a white dude who's dressed well and speaks, American English, you'd be amazed where you can get to without anyone questioning you. You'd be absolutely amazed. And it's not just being a white dude or anything. It's about being well dressed, being confident, and just letting it ride. Just going in, letting it ride, and just talking to people as if you know what's going on and you are where you're supposed to be, etc. Confidence is, like, I would say, at least 60-70% of it all by itself.
Absolutely. And even in the sales aspect and the phishing and the social engineering aspect, that's 100% true. And I would say at least well dressed is defined on where you are,
Where you
or
are,
what you
yeah.
are.
You have to fit in.
Exactly. So chameleonizing, being the gray man, being the person that just appears like you're. So an example, if I was trying to sell you something, I would wear the black hoodie. I would start putting my hair to the side as you. I can assume you're right-handed by the fact that your hair is pushed to the right. You picked up your
I'm
glass with the
right-handed.
right hand, things of that nature. And people don't understand how much you can learn about somebody just from people watching. Like I used to, when I was training salespeople, I used to take them to go to lunch or something, and I would just say, "What can you tell me about them?" Just based on watching them. And it's amazing what you can find just by nonverbal cues. I mean, you can learn so much about it that you can gather enough where you can make a basic first time interaction, or in a situation where you're not supposed to be there, an accidental interaction, go by unnoticed, unscathed.
Oh yeah, like, and as Infinite Logins in chat just said, I was on Infinite Logins' stream earlier, and he brought this up. At a previous job where I was doing physical testing, I referred to the construction vest with the reflective vest and the hard hat as my invisibility cloak, because literally you put that shit on and no one will ever look at you. Like it's flabbergasting, and you'd be amazed. You can just walk up to the security desk and be like, "Hey, can I just use the restroom, like just real quick?" And they'll let you. They're like at least 50% of the time they'll just let you go use the restroom, and then you just don't come back.
And that's, people, I have a very good friend of mine that was he was a physical pen tester, and he did some government stuff, and he told me a story about a guy who had to do a physical pen test, and he did almost exactly that. He had his car break down, but he goes, I had to realize everyone's a mechanic. So he put a kill switch hidden on the car. So it couldn't matter if Jesse James came out there, he wasn't fixing it. So he put that kill switch on. Nobody could fix it. He asked to use the bathroom. His physical assessment was he had to have 10 minutes unsupervised in that building.
There you
It
go.
was very, very, very easy to get when that car's been sitting there for 6 hours. And he goes, man, can I please use your restroom? The guy goes, okay, yeah, it's fine. It's right there. And he never even went to the bathroom. He just started walking through and didn't care, because people become complacent. I've seen you here for 6 hours. You're normal. You're supposed to be there. And that's hiding in plain sight, being the gray man. People people underestimate how much you can do when you look like you belong.
So and here's the crazy thing about that. All right, so we're gonna have Rodrigo head off. Rodrigo, man, great to have you here. Love hearing your story and your input. I'm already over 11. I don't even care. But I do have one more thing to say and give my input on. If you want to hang around, go ahead. If not, go ahead and bounce, and I'll holler at you later on Discord and everything else. But my thing is, like, you talk about fitting in, right, and acting like you belong. And it's funny because for anybody that grew up around alcohol or whatever the case may be, if you're going into a beer distributor, a bar, a club, whatever it is, they always tell you, when you walk in, act like you belong. If you act like you belong there, your chances of getting carded in the alcohol industry and bars and stuff, lower. And I saw that, right? I was a bouncer, right? I carded everybody at the front door, but at the same time, I was that guy that would walk into a bar. Granted, I had a military ID, so it is what it is. But I was that guy that could walk in and be like, yeah, I'll take this. And as long as you know what you want, you're not second guessing yourself. You're not, trying to question what's going on, or you don't belong, then they don't care. And that same goes for businesses and companies and things like that. We talk about about tailgating, about everything else. Look, we could preach all day about fishing and whaling and everything else, which is a huge, huge security vulnerability. But all I have to do is walk up behind somebody and say, shit, I forgot my badge. And 9 times out of 10, they'll let you in. You don't even have to belong there. They could have never seen you. But you walk up, smack dab behind them. Shit, I forgot my badge. And they'll let you in. Or
I mean, hell, a lot of times they'll just hold the door open for you just naturally.
Exactly.
Like, you won't have to say a damn thing.
Can you hold the door for me? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, just be carrying something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Have something in your hand.
Yep.
Hey, can you got a box? Hey, can you hold this?
That's the big brain. That's the
Yep.
Or
That's exactly
or be a
it.
cable guy,
So-
or be an IT guy. People just automatically are like, oh yeah, I got you, man.
Exactly.
I'll give you-
People want to help. People want to help. Let them help you.
So one of the
Prey on
first
the good
movies
nature.
I saw about that, and it wasn't even a cybersecurity movie. Actually, I just watched it again recently, was Blue Streak. And it was when Martin Lawrence dressed up as this, he put in these fake teeth and everything to be a pizza delivery guy to get into this building. But it's the same concept. Like, you do these different things. I have seen physical pen testers literally dress up in different uniforms. They'll go on eBay. They'll go on whatever else to look like they belong. Whether it's a delivery driver or an employee. If that office has a uniform, they will grab the shirt and just miraculously forget a badge. And they'll let them in. It won't even matter. Or they'll know someone's name, go up to the front desk and be like, hey, I forgot my badge today. Can I get a temporary? Sure, what's your name? Oh, yeah, it's, Joe Schmo from level 3. And they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Here you go. Here's a temporary badge that gets you in for the day. And so social engineering, and I had a question earlier, what do you mean by turning social engineering off? So I don't know if you saw that one on Twitch. But, like, social engineering is so ingrained when you get involved with OSINT and get involved with dealing with people. Growing up, I am the type of person that was able to listen to any type of music. It didn't matter what it was. Anything from death metal to country to rap to pop, it didn't matter. My CD case had yes, I said CDs. So for all you young fools that are watching this, I said CDs. I even had tapes too. But I digress. I had everything because I could fit it anywhere. I don't have that personality that just blocks out what people think. I learned to listen and understand and empathize and figure out what's going on. And yes, I always try to fix every problem, but I'm able to really get involved with how people feel. So social engineering, I don't think you ever turn off because you're always trying to figure out not necessarily what's best for you, but how you can help someone or, depending on the situation, right? So if you're trying to get information, you're going to try to get information. But if you're trying to help someone, the only way to do it is to empathize and to really like what they like or find a way to find common ground. So I don't think anybody who's good with people or wants to be good with people ever turns that off. I really don't. Because to me, social engineering is just something that comes natural. At 16, I worked in sales. I was at Best Buy, didn't get paid on commission, and I would be able to get people to walk in there that wanted to spend $200 on an e-machine that was a glorified typewriter, spend $3,000 as they walked out the door and never got a return. God, I wished I was paid on commission at those times. But it was because I knew computers, but I knew people. I could talk to them and understand what they were trying to do and where they wanted to go and really understand it. But God, you're starting to feel old when your sister threw an 8-track at your head. Weeble wobbles, man. I still got a scar from it. That's why I have a beard. But, I think I look at these things and I never turn it off. If I wanted to do sales, I could do sales. It's not something I enjoy. Just because I feel like at sometimes we are taking advantage of people, right? So because maybe we don't believe in the product. So when I worked at Best Buy and they went from their technical guys that really knew their shit to Geek Squad, I no longer believed in the product. I couldn't do it no more. I could not in my heart sell that shit because it was overpriced for shit. It was, we're going to bring in high school kids that are going to follow a script of what we can do to fix it and hope that it works. And for me, that wasn't enough. But social engineering, you never turn off. You can talk to people all day, and you're always going to be in some frame of social engineering. Whether it's good or bad, you're always going to be doing it.
All right, fully. I couldn't agree more. I think it's, I mean, when you I mean, social engineering is really just an extension of normal social interaction. Like, we naturally seek to make people around, unless we're like complete sociopaths or something, we're naturally seeking to make other people around us happy and to at the same time get what we want from other people. When I was a leader in the Air Force, that's, I had to apply, without even realizing it, I had to apply social engineering tactics when I listened to my airmen, and I got them to do the things I needed them to do, even if they didn't want them to do it. Even if they didn't want to do it, like, I mean, sometimes you just kind of have to talk them into it. You have to listen to their concerns, and you have to empathize with them, and that's just part of social interaction. That's part of being a leader. That's part of existing in a society in which other human beings are also trying to go about their daily lives autonomously from you. And autonomously and independently from you, I should say. So when we talk about social engineering, all we're talking about is applying those same principles to accomplish a very specific goal. So in the case of sales, you're using it to sell stuff to them. You want to you've talked at length about empathizing with them and getting them what they need. At the same time, you get what you need, which is a commission. When I socially engineer my way into I don't know, the bank, a bank or a big financial firm or whatever it is I'm testing, I'm being suggestive in less obvious ways. I'm just playing into normal human sensibilities of wanting to trust people and wanting to be helpful. That again, but it's all boils down to, this is just how human beings interact. This is just how we exist in society near each other. That's all.
It's playing on basic instincts.
It's lizard brain stuff is really what it is.
Exactly. You have the ego, the super ego. It's the subconscious part of the brain. Since we've been the first man made the fire, and the second guy goes, I want to be warm too, and we started grouping up, people started developing habits and started developing ways of thinking, and it's exactly that. So after all the years of that happening, people want to trust people. People think that no one trusts anyone. People actually automatically, they trust people. They want to trust people. They want to believe someone. They want to be friendly. They want to be helped. They want to feel good. If you make them do that, 3/4 of your battle's already over. It doesn't matter if you're selling or if you're trying to infiltrate something. As long as you look like you belong and people feel like you do belong, you've already won. You just got to have the skills, like we've said, at that point to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it really comes down to just being willing to take that leap. And when it comes to red team or whatever the case may be, you just got to be willing. But again, social engineering never stops. And you can, and Chris, you mentioned it, you can social engineer your way into a job. The best thing I saw was a meme that said, they were interviewing someone and they asked him how they got the interview, or, you're here for this time. And he was like, yeah, I know. I put myself on the list. These days, to get an interview sometimes, as much as it may be illegal, go ahead and do that. Especially if it's a red team job, go ahead. If you truly can find your way in for an interview, go ahead, put yourself on the project list. The list of interviewees on his Outlook calendar. I guarantee you, it's wrong, it's illegal, and you may get charges pressed against you. But at the same time, he may go, holy crap, we've got huge flaws. What can we do to fix it? But that gets me back, and this will be the last thing I talk about, because I do got to go. We're well over time. Is Kevin Mitnick. I hate to mention the name, but Kevin Mitnick put out a book. And I can't remember the name of the book, but in it was a gentleman.
The Art of Deception.
Probably. I think it's that one with no, it might have been his other one. But basically,
Art
he took
of Invisibility.
The Robin Hood hacker.
Was it the art of? It's either the art of invisibility or Ghost in the Wires. It could be also.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Ghost in the Wires.
Yeah, Ghost in the Wires is the one I think you're referring to. Where he talks about his kind of story.
There's one that, and he's considered the Robin Hood hacker, and I can look him up real quick. But essentially, what he was doing is he got bored, and it's not showing to me in the first few things, but he would find vulnerabilities in companies, go through an intermediary, and report them. And half the time they'd be like, all right, cool, what do we need to do to fix it, or this, that, and the third. Well, at this time, the New York Times said they could not be hacked. So he did it. You tell me you can't be hacked, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And gave them, told them that they were able to be breached. And they're like, no way. And they refused to take his advice, refused to call him in, didn't want to deal with it. So then he started using paid services and tagged his name and ended up being all bad things. And that's how he got arrested. But at the end of the day, there are ways to make a name for yourself. That's why there's BugCrowd and HackerOne and everything else like that. But if you want to go through and do it the wrong way and put your name on the list for interviewees on somebody's calendar, I'm not going to tell you not to, but I'm not going to tell you to do it either. I'm just saying you can either end up in jail or guarantee yourself a job. Those are probably going to be your two options at that point.
But even the way he got his start, people don't realize he was a little kid and he wanted to ride the bus and he couldn't. And he went dumpster diving and he found a whole bunch of bus passes that were thrown out. But he didn't have the way to punch them. So he hopped on a bus and he said, hey, I have to do a school project and I'm doing it on bus drivers. Can you get me one of the tools to do the punches? And he got him the tool. That guy rode the bus forever. I mean, and he was a kid. There's so much that can be done. And I don't care how old, I don't think you're too old for cybersecurity. Like I hear somebody the other day said, I'm too old to get in the industry. And I'm like, I don't think you are, man.
I hate that term.
Mindset.
All right. This is truly the last thing I'm going to say because I'm at 11:27 my time and I got to finish my drink and get to bed. I will say this. My father, at over 50 years old, got a degree in cybersecurity, is working in GRC. You are never too old to get into this field. You are never too old to learn something new, as long as you put your mind to it. Yes, there are exceptions. I get that. There's medical conditions. There's a bunch of other things out there. But if you are in good health and your mind is right, you are never too old to learn something new. You just got to be able to apply yourself. You want to learn computers, you want to learn cybersecurity, you want to learn whatever, programming, whatever it is, find a mentor, talk to them, figure out what it is you need to know. Saying that, look, I love everybody here. God, Al, you brought so many people to the stream. I am so happy because...
What number are we at?
I honestly don't know at this point, man. Like, Twitch isn't through OBS Live, so I don't know.
Is that where the clicker just starts reading just crazy numbers?
I had probably like 8 people follow just in the course of this stream. But saying that, look, I love everybody here. This is what I do. I help people get their name out there. I help people grow. Al, yes, one of these days I will get you on your own show. It will happen. Eventually. Just not today. But it's been an awesome episode. I'm well over time, and Buzzsprout, when I put this on podcast, is probably going to yell at me because I only got like 6 hours a month. But any way you can help, look, down in the description below, if you're on YouTube, go ahead, find a way to support me. I've got merchandise. This hoodie, custom made by my wife. I've got CashApp. I've got PayPal. I've got Patreon, buy me a beer, you name it, it's there. Any way you can support creators is on there. If you are on Twitch, go ahead. There's a donation button, as well as go Google CyberWarriorStudios, go on Patreon, go on anything like that. You'll find me there as well. And I have had an awesome time talking to everybody. But as I said, all good things must come to an end. And catch me. Motivation Monday will be on YouTube, pre-recorded. Tech Tuesday will be live, both YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to catch Tech Tuesday, learn a little bit more about Parrot, that's where I'll be. And I will see you all next time.